The blessings rain down from above. Internet historian is back again.
He must have done, like, because this one's called Even Fancier.
This is a series. He even said.
I was going to say, how many videos, I wonder?
Quite a few.
And back to back. Like,
rumor has it that it's like
raining down
9.
What?
I'm telling you, this man has been on a tear. He don't care. Internet historian is popping up everywhere. He's on his main channel. He's on incognito mode. And he's going to be bouncing around, throwing it down. Yes, yeah. It's about to be great. And I'm excited about it because he was fancy theater.
And you know a decent amount about theater.
But
you don't know a lot about paintings, Chad.
And it's even fancier painting. So you're the one that had an art minor.
Yeah, I have a minor in art, which is like next to nothing. But I did it all almost in one semester. Like,
I remember when you were like, I care about this. I love this. I want to do this. Yeah. And I was just like, do this. But you're like, I don't know if I should.
No,
if I can do this.
You know, the problem was I had 2 semesters of school left, and that's when I decided that I needed to do it. And it's because even like when I was in community college, my professors were like, do what you need to do and then do what you want to do later. So then by the time I graduated, I never had time to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So then I went to university and the same shit happened. And I was like, I'm going to do what I want to do, even if I have to do it at the same time.
You were hard to convince that you should do what you want to do, though.
Yeah. So I had to go to the art department, I studied psychology, the psychology department.
It was a whole campaign to do this.
The president of the school and get write-offs from each one of them to take 21 hours while I was still in my psychology courses.
Dude, and I remember in the midst of this, you were like, what the fuck am I doing?
No, I talked to my professor who knew me, and I was like, hey, I need you to sign off on this. And he's like, what is it? And I was like, I'm trying to take 21 credits. And he's like, why on God's earth are you trying to do this? And I was like, I just hate myself so much, but please just, I'll do it. It'll be fine.
I respect it.
Yeah.
I think it's badass to not only follow the things that bring you joy and passion in your life, but grind at that shit.
Yeah.
Because your resilience is going to be much stronger in something that you love like that. And not only that, but it's also kind of like a show, like paying your dues, showing respect, having real experience in something you love is really fucking cool.
It's really funny because I had 2 painting classes in one semester. So I had painting 1, which is your intro to painting.
Yes.
And the intermediate course.
Yes.
In the same exact semester. And literally my teacher was like, how the fuck did you pull this off? It doesn't make any sense that in one class we're learning what colors to mix with what. And then in the second class, whatever, that's fine. He got so irritated. But he was like, there's nothing that I can do about it. He was very nice, but there were some professors who, I guess because I kind of flippantly decided to do this, my ceramics teacher gave me a bad grade because I decided to make a almost 1.5 foot Godzilla smoking structure.
A bong.
For Chad for
and
Christmas.
It broke.
And she was like, listen, this is a really big deal because this is ceramics. I don't teach sculpture until after you graduate because I'm going on sabbatical. So if you do this is you're making a big decision. I don't agree with this, and it broke, and so she gave me a horrible grade. Anyway, so
but there's some really weird shit in painting also where people vomit paint. They'll eat it and vomit it.
I have seen that.
And then they'll also put it in their vag and squirt it out.
I did not know that.
Or they'll use their menstrual as their paint. There's also a guy who uses turds.
Who paint?
Or there's also the people who douche paint into their booties and spray it onto the thing. What? Art is subjective, Right. So then that opens up.
I used to like really think Bongzilla. I used to really like not get art, like to a point where like I tried not to. Like I'm just like, ugh, I don't understand it, whatever. And like and it's because of artists who are like that. I think. Yeah. Because it can be taken so far that it's like, what are you doing? Right. But teach their own.
Well, I have a bachelor's degree in music business, and part of that I had to learn about avant-garde art because it's marketable and you have to, working for labels, pay attention to things that may be super abstract but just hit a note with conventional media in general. Like they are just an avant-garde artist and they're able to connect with audiences in a broad sense. Just sometimes it happens. And it helped me understand, that though conventional palettes may not be turned on by certain things, there is a market for damn near everything, and it is really difficult to say what's going to hit with mainstream in that sphere, because there is every once in a while shit that just comes out of fucking nowhere, and it's like, that's the thing. It has to specifically be this person and this exact thing, but this one resonates with everybody for some reason in a huge fucking way. Like an example would be that you didn't have to cut me off, like that motherfucker. Have you ever heard anything? No,
and I have heard a lot of people be like one and done. Like,
what the fuck? Yeah. But it was like on a fucking little child's xylophone. Did you see fucking
the music video to it?
I didn't pay any attention to it because to me it sounded like some bitch made, like
that song used to hit me where it hurt.
But it resonated with huge amounts of people. So art, painting, is a lot like that. There's some abstract shit that just like resonates with tons of people.
I don't even think it has to be abstract. Like my favorite artist is Joseph LaRusso, and it's not abstract at all. I think anybody could look at it and like be like, oh, because it's like, it is, you look at it, you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. There's not a lot of artists that, and even music and stuff, that just like feel somber, or like there's just a certain emotion that like it evokes whenever like you look at it, and that doesn't really happen a lot to me with art or music or anything. Like you, especially with music, but it doesn't hit like that for me. But like especially with all of his paintings, it's always just this deep feeling that I see, and I'm like, one day I will own one of his paintings, but for now I will just look on them on Instagram because I am too poor. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of artists that I look at like that, and there's not a lot of abstract art that I really like. I know that there was a while that a lot of people were, what are you giggling about?
Because when you were talking about how you felt about that artist's work, it's like, well, do I even have an artist that I would feel that way?
Well, probably not for paintings, but probably for music. Because I'm more of
like Todd McFarlane would be for me, for like the guy who did Spawn and Spider-Man and Venom.
That
and
makes you feel
like, dude, Spawn, the first time I saw Spawn, I was like, oh my God, dude, this guy is the coolest looking dude ever. Like, as a kid, just seeing Spawn for the first time, this is the guy who illustrated,
The whole time I think you're giggling about me, and you're literally thinking about Spider-Man.
No, it's because I laugh because you're talking about this, like, highbrow artist, and I'm like, Todd McFarlane. Because he also did the art. Me either. He also did the art for Follow the Leader, Korn's album. It's just a bunch of kids kind of like, hey, we're about to go jump off this cliff together kind of thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But it's like really good artwork.
Well, we should probably jump into this. If you have a favorite artist that makes you feel whatever.
Oh my God, are we doing
strongly,
transformative content?
Then, oh my God, then drop that in the comments because I would love to see it. And even if it is something that I'm not interested in, he might be. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us know. Anyway, we're going to check this out. Super stoked for Internet Historian to be pumping out content the way that he is. And yeah, this one's going to be interesting, I'm sure.
We have talked about how you were supposed to be the nude figure painter.
We have after the
model.
video.
Anyway.
We have after the video.
Chad was supposed to be a nude model for one of my classes, but we'll get to that.
Inspired by...
Can you put your cap on your drink, baby?
Yes. Inspired by
Will Ferrell
from Saturday Night Live.
My teacher would have been so mad at you.
He goes
The thinker.
I call this one the thinker, and I call this one the stinker.
Yeah.
NordVPN isn't like the other girls. Hello, incognito mode videos now. Alright, so the schedule for this mini-series goes like this. We did the main channel on theater, then an incognito mode on painting, which is this. Then there's a main channel on wine, and then an incognito mode on a bunch of stories around wine. And there's a main channel on things that people wear. There's a main channel on luxury goods, and then we round the whole thing off with 2 more incognito modes. And then I go back into cryostasis. This first section is on the basics of painting, and we were a little bit worried to show it because we kind of felt like this will split the audience. Not because it's political or anything, but because it's so basic. So someone who already knows something about art would be like, yeah, of course, why are you telling me this? But for someone like me, who knows practically zero about art, I found it really interesting. And I thought, why the heck haven't I been told this before, right? So, first section.
Alright, quiet on the set.
Basics of painting.
Action!
The arts.
That
the
was
arts. Do not put an F in front of that. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. Alright, first, some things that'll make you go, yeah, and? Or, oh, right. So look at this colourful goo. Paint. Delicious in both jam and chip form. But its raw components are just 2 essential things. An undissolving pigment and a medium. Now, pigments are basically just colourful dust, and the medium is the liquidy thing that the dust hangs out in. Now, the liquid determines what type of paint you have. Pigment plus water equals watercolors. Pigment plus glue equals acrylics. Pigment plus oil equals oil paints.
Love it.
So simple. And pigment plus, moving on. Now, the pigment does not dissolve into the medium. Instead,
What do you think he was thinking there? Pigment plus, we're moving on. I'm thinking skeet.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, skeet,
Okay, come on.
it's just kind of suspended in it. When the pigment does dissolve into a medium, that's a dye. So that's the basic difference. Now, you have to transfer the paint onto the canvas. To do that, we need to talk tools. Well, first, you can just use your fingers. It was good enough for the cavemen, and it's good enough for your mum. So it's good enough for us. Then we tried brushes. Now here is the anatomy of a brush. You've got the handle, the bristles, the ferrule, and the crimp.
I didn't know it was called that.
Now the bristles are the most important bit. First we were just using mangled up reeds called fronds, but they got really good once we started using animal
Matthew
hair.
Perry.
Have a look at some of the animals we used. Boar, taken from the neck or the back of the pig. That is the kind of brush that Van Gogh used, and it's still the gold standard for today. A goat brush. It's good, but it's not the goat. Lacks some spring, so it's mostly used for calligraphy. Badger. Now that's actually mostly used for shaving, not painting at all. Horse, raccoon, and wolf, also not great quality. But what's the worst quality of all? You know, the gutter oil of the brush world. Well, the worst quality is camel hair brushes, and they're mostly sold as arts and crafts brushes for kids. But the weird thing is, camel hair is so low quality that it's not even used in brushes at all. Huh? Yes, so-called camel hair brushes are actually made from cats and rabbits and squirrels.
How can you say that then?
But that makes people kind of sad. So they changed the name to a much less cute animal and also one that's kind of exotic, so you wouldn't question it. Now, what's the best brush of all? What is the S tier of brushes? Those are made from sable.
Oh my god, this, of course. 10 out of 10.
Now, sable is a type of weasel. These are hunted for their fur for clothing.
Oh.
It's him.
But when they catch them to make clothes, they actually only want the body for the clothes, and so they discard the tail altogether. But those tails have the best hair for paintbrushes, and so they are snatched up by the brush makers. Now, the hair is special.
Do you know how many times I have put a paintbrush in my mouth and now I'm completely disgusted?
Nikki, I try not to think about the things you've put in your mouth.
Because it has an interlocking scales that vastly increases the surface area, but it also holds strong in the long term. Firm and bouncy, but also soft.
It's smooth, it bounces, it moves. Only with new Tresemme Keratin Smooth.
And they sell for upwards of $300
Holy
a brush.
I never had one of
motherfuck.
them.
Wow. That is...
Alright, here's a top 10 list,
Must
sort
have
of
been
maybe
fake
Watch
camel.
Mojo style, of the most famous paintings, and just a few interesting things about them that you may not know. Pop quiz, sports shoe wearer. Look at this painting. What does it make you feel? Too late. Or if you answered in time, wrong answer. Happy, sad. I bet those are the only two emotions you even know. The correct answer is shame, because you are embarrassing yourself. You know nothing about the arts. So it is time to look at the best paintings to ever exist. And let's begin with the most obscure of them all. Whoever this is.
That's a Mario thing, yeah. Mario 64.
The Mona Lisa. Now, I thought it went first name Mona, last name Lisa. Check it out. But turns out Mona is an honorific, meaning madam, so it's Madam Lisa. Now, relatively recently, historians have figured out who she actually is, and they found out that she's married to a Florentine merchant, Francesco del Giocondo. So that makes her Lisa del Gioconda, and that explains the alternative title of the work, La Gioconda. Now, the reason she has her arms crossed and is a little bit chubby is because she's pregnant. In fact, you can kind of see that she's wearing a veil, and that particular type of veil was worn by pregnant women at the time. Her husband commissioned the painting when Da Vinci was already well known, so it would have been very expensive, and that makes it very funny for a couple of reasons. One, it was never handed over to the family. Instead, Leo left it in his will to his apprentice. And two, because for a couple of hundred years, the prevailing theory was that she was not an aristocratic wife, but instead, a prostitute. Her hair being down and her almost absent eyebrows were common traits of working girls at the time. Anyway, why is this painting so famous? Well, Da Vinci was already pretty famous, and the painting got stolen. This became a very big news story, and her face suddenly started getting plastered on a whole bunch of newspapers and wanted posters, making her very recognizable. From there, she became the most famous painting, which is why she always looks so smug. Starry Night, Vincent van Gogh.
Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Painted while he was in the St. Paul de Musol Asylum. That's here. And this was the view from his bedroom window. Here is the real view a few decades later. He chose not to paint the metal bars. Now, you can see that there are 11 stars in the sky here. Supposedly, that's reference to Joseph from the Bible. Joseph, he had a hard life. The minivan, he had a hard life too. And he hoped that he would be remembered at least once he was gone. Like Joseph. And you know what? It worked out for him because everybody remembers Van Gogh and nobody remembers the guys who bullied him and called him a ginger. Also, there's kind of a theory that he was killed by some kid. Go check out Wendigoon's channel for more information on that one. The birth of Venus. All right, let me tell you what's happening in this
They
one.
blurred out
So,
the tits.
there's this lady, Venus. She is the goddess of beauty, and she is coming up out of the ocean in a big clam, right? Now, the clam is not a metaphor for her vagina. It's that she is the perfect pearl. Get it? Now, these two here are a divine wind. They are blowing her like a hot spoonful of soup towards the shore. And she is carried all the way over to the beach. And this beach, by the way, is a real place called Paphos. It's in Cyprus. Here is what it looks like in real life. Now, when she arrives on the beach, a nymph shows up, which is this lady here, and she has a cloak, and she throws the cloak over Venus, and she says, "You know what? You're very special. One day they're gonna name a 4-blade razor after you." Arrangement in black and grey number 1. Also known as Whistler's Mother, most famous for its appearance in the Mr. Bean movie.
Oh my
Now,
God.
when Whistler's mother originally agreed to be painted, she agreed to be painted standing up, but she had to pose for so long that eventually she got quite tired and had to sit down. Here you go. And that became the famous pose. The Garden of Earthly
hated
Delights.
that. I
All
don't know
right, this
why.
one is probably my favorite because it looks like a Where's Waldo, and then the
real.
whole thing just goes completely off the rails. So, Mr. Hieronymus, that's a name that's going to make a comeback, is doing all of this cool surreal stuff about 500 years ago. So let's start on the left. Here is Adam and Eve, and the pre-incarnation of Jesus. And they are all hanging out in the Garden of Eden.
Totally makes
Now, what's
sense.
going on in the middle bit? That's
A lot.
harder to explain. The best theory is either that this is Eden, if people were allowed back into the garden, or if they had never left in the first place, or if man had not committed original sin. But look at the size of that strawberry. Oh, here he is. Then on the right-hand panel is hell, or at least a very bad time. This is where Oddlaw would end up, that son of a bitch.
I was gonna say it doesn't look
Right.
horrible,
Now,
and then they zoomed
here's
in.
the
Never
interesting
mind.
bit.
Never mind.
It's not painted on a typical canvas. It's actually a sort of cabinet thing with 3 panels called a triptych. And the neat thing is, if you close the doors, more painting. That is the earth, and that is the firmament. A perfect balance between flat earth and globe theory. A Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grangette. This thing is pretty big, and here's the real-life place it was painted after. Although they've beautified it even more with the office building at the back. What you may not know is that it is actually a sequel. First, George Seurat painted the left bank, and that's where all the working class sit. You see these guys that, have a bit less money and stuff. Gross! And then this is the one that you all know, and that is on the right-hand bank. And all these people are a very bougie sort. That is Scrappy-Doo. That's a monkey. The Last Supper.
Wow.
Okay, so the scene is this. All the disciples are gathered around, and this is the exact moment that Jesus declares, "Hey, by the way, I know one of you betrayed me."
Yeah.
And this is everyone's shocked reaction to the news. Except there's one guy who's just pretending to be shocked. And here is who everyone is. I thought this was Mary, by the way. Turns out that's John. Very progressive. And that's all of the paintings, and no one has attempted one since.
No one has attempted one since.
And I wake up.
Yes!
Flip the Nord logo, Marianas Trench. Flip it the other way, 3 pyramids. He's solving the mysteries. There's not much time. I gotta log into NordVPN so the corporations can't track me. Marketing companies gang stalking me, listening to me through the walls.
Gang
We
stalk.
found the death note. Wake up again. I don't have much time. The feds are at my door. Open up. I refuse to take my Nord milk pills. I wake up again. The demon in the corner of my room wants to access my NordVPN. I let him, because I can use it on up to 6 different devices.
Thanks, Nordman.
I know the corporations are building profiles on me. I go to Facebook, I go to Wikipedia, then suddenly I'm getting ads for feet on my Facebook. Big feet, big foot, big pharma. On Tuesday, I saw a red car. Coincidence? Huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months. 4 sides to a triangle. Coincidence? There's a guy reacting to my life in the corner right now. 30-day money-back guarantee. What's the goddamn catch? Time's going faster than usual, and only a limited time to get a great deal on a 2-year plan. I wake up again. It's the perfect Christmas present.
Who are you?
Wait a minute. My family died in a suspicious house fire. Skinwalker in my house. Changed location to Finland. Different regions have different prices on plane tickets and hotels. There ain't even a conspiracy. I take more microplastics so I can see through the ether.
We're coming in, Nordvan.
Pizza time.
But they're too late. I click Hyperborea and I am untouchable. If you understood anything that happened in this ad, go to nordvpn.com/incognito to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan, plus 4 bonus months.
Story of my
Ad
life.
over. Alright, so this one is about how to spot a fake painting. I quite like this section, but it kind of got bogged down by all of its technical information, and it went quite long. So, here it is, for the discerning audience. How to spot a fake painting.
How to spot a fake Pokemon card.
Glug, glug, glug. Oh my god. Is that a real Michelangelo? We're here now. Quick hypothetical lower tax brackets. If paintings like this one or this one go for literally gajillions of dollars, that's USD, then what's to stop someone from doing this? Then this, and then this, then this, and then saying it's real when it ain't. You know, faking a painting. Turns out, not much at all. In fact, it can be very difficult to tell these fake-ass paintings from the ones that keep it real. There's a whole-ass art to detecting these fakes, and it's become an arms race, where the authentic...
Okay. I have to stop because I think he just used a snippet from someone who took rap songs and made them into like medieval songs.
The Baroque, the Bard.
Bard, Beatle,
Bard.
something. Yes, because I showed you.
Yes.
He did a bunch of Eminem.
Yes.
And I think he just played part of the next episode. Bum, 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 bum. Or what is that? I can't remember what it is, but that bum, bum,
I didn't
bum,
even
bum,
notice.
bum, 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 bum.
saying it's real when it ain't. You know, faking a painting. Turns out, not much at all. In fact, it can be very difficult to tell these fake-ass paintings from the ones that keep it real.
Oh, he did.
There's a whole-ass
that's what that
art
is.
to detecting these fakes, and it's become an arms race, where the authenticators find new ways of detecting, and the fakers find new ways to get around their methods.
Technology's advanced. Do you think that makes it harder to make good forgeries?
No, you can beat the forensics.
So, authentication. There are 3 main categories: provenance, connoisseurship, forensics. Let's start in alphabetical order. Provenance. Now, provenance follows the history of the painting, tracking down the previous sellers and the buyers, all the galleries that exhibited it, the hand-to-hand that it was passed through, all the way back to the original painter. However, the older the work, the harder it is, generally, to track the provenance. Take, for example, the most expensive painting ever sold, the Salvator Mundi, the final Da Vinci, sold in 2017 for $400 million. And it can only be traced back to 1958.
Okay.
Back then, it was sold for £45. But in the other 500 years of its history, no one knew where this thing was. Even today, people still dispute whether it's genuine.
I think it's a real flim-flam.
If it's a flim-flam,
is a
that's a lot of
made-up
money.
piece of junk. I think it's fake art news.
Real in drag.
Then it turns up in America? In New Orleans? Oh, I see. I think we've wished this Da Vinci into existence. Here's the lost Leonardo that somebody once mentioned in a book.
Provenance has gotten a lot easier over time.
That is
You
one
used to have to
sassy
track down
motherfucker
books
right there.
and read catalogs and stuff, but now it's all online. Control plus F, there it is. So you see, kid, There's nothing online. Nothing. Tell me who you bought this from, you son of a bitch. Where did you get this? Tell me the name of the auction house that sold you it. Connoisseurship. Look at the work. Do you believe what you are seeing? How does it look? How does it taste? Are these ballpoint pen strokes those of a master artist? Luckily, there are people like Martin Kemp, who spend their whole careers focusing on single artists.
I've been dealing with Leonardo for, I suppose, about 50 years.
They can pick out the fakes. So, for example, when he was looking at La Bella Principessa, he went, yup, he uses the Trois Crayons. He's a left-handed artist. The proportions of the head and the face are all correct. You know what? I'm going to give this a big rubber stamp right there in the middle of the painting. Confirmed. So, for the fakers, they have to have a keen understanding of who they are copying. One of the best fakers, Almir de Hore, for example, mastered the brushstrokes of artists such as Matisse, Modigliani, and Renoir so well that hundreds of museums are currently in possession of his works, without even knowing it. Yes, well, Michelangelo was famous for his Cangiante painting techniques, and I can't see any of that here. You're 0 for 2, kid. You're going down. Forensics. This thing's going straight to the lab. You're about to have a paint brush up with the law. Masterpiece? More like you're a real masterpiece of shit, kid. Fuck you. Alright, now the people that solve murders have really changed the game when it comes to art forgeries by implementing radiocarbon dating. Radiocarbon dating. Carbon dating? Yeah, but it's not serious. Listen, you're made out of carbon, I'm made out of carbon. Paintings are made out of carbon. And when a thing is made out of carbon, there are these unusual isotopes of carbon-14, right? They're floating all throughout the air and the atmosphere. Now, all living things contain a trace of them. They are taken in when something eats, breathes, anything else. And that happens continuously throughout the life cycle. However, when the organism dies, it stops taking in new carbon, right? Which means it stops taking in new carbon-14. Same thing happens to a painting. You've stopped putting paint on the thing, no more carbon. Carbon-14 is an unstable isotope, and it decays at a very steady rate. It turns into nitrogen-14 and a beta particle. Beta! And because these carbon-14 atoms decay at a very steady rate, in principle, you can look at the proportional number of carbon-14 atoms and determine how old something is. More carbon-14, newer painting. Less carbon-14, older painting. In 1985, using this technique, they caught a guy, Robert Trotter, who forged a Sarah Hon painting. Ah, far too many carbon-14 atoms. Lock 'em up, boys. But there are even simpler methods of testing the age of a pigment. 3 Jackson Pollock paintings were found to be fake when it was determined that the pigments on the canvas weren't sold until the 1960s. But Pollock was dead by 1956. Nowadays, there are huge pigment libraries that can be easily cross-referenced. So that shows the year a pigment was first introduced and what year it stopped being used. For example, anything that has titanium white has to have been produced in the last 80 years. I'm going to be honest with you, kid. Michelangelo never used the yellow Crayola. X-rays. Now, you can blast this thing with some radiation and look behind the painting to see what's underneath. For example, did the artist do a sketch first? Maybe this is painted over something else. If you look behind the Mona Lisa, you can actually see that she had a much larger head once, although maybe it just shrunk with age. And you can see that veil much more easily. Also, if you x-ray even further, you can see her fully formed skeleton.
I was getting way too...
The art forgers of today are a wily bunch. Forgers can source old canvases from the correct period. They can use error-matching pigments. Even the carbon dating can be a bit unreliable. Heck, even the x-rays can be bullshitted, as forgers take into account that their work will be x-rayed, as they do a sort of fake painting or sketch first, and then paint the next version on top. Alright, kid, I'll give you $20,000 for this, or a shiny new bottle of Ritalin. Works every time.
Fuck.
This section is about Shakespeare. Wow, that would make so much sense for it to be in the theatre video on the main channel.
That's what I was thinking.
This dude showed up and changed the game. Shakespeare. Here's the thing though. We basically know nothing about him. First,
did you know that?
We don't know what he looked like. There are two best guesses. One is from this engraving on a first folio. But that wasn't put together until 7 years after he was already dead. One of his peers, Ben Jonson, knew him though and said, yeah, it's pretty close. So maybe. The second is a bust that was made for his grave. There are a bunch of others, but they weren't commissioned by Shakespeare himself. They weren't done while he was alive, and he didn't exactly stop to pose for them. But these are the ones we most recognize him by. This includes Chandos, which is probably the most recognizable. So this could be him, or this could be some completely other dude, or it could be an idealized version. Now, we also don't know exactly when he was born, or when he died, or how he died. His birthday is celebrated on the 23rd of April, but there's no record of that. And then he died on the 23rd of April as well. So he died on his birthday? Odd coincidence. But we know that he did marry a lady named Anne Hathaway. Yes, same as Catwoman, but this one was the original. We also don't even really know how to spell his name. There are tons of different signatures by him, but they're practically all spelt differently. And let's not even get started on the conspiracies of whether or not he really wrote his plays.
That he even
the son of two illiterate parents from a lower-class neighborhood suddenly becoming the world's greatest playwright? Bit suspicious. Also, whether he was gay, or worse, whether he was foreign, or what the hell is going on with his grave. So if you go to the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, there is his grave. There he lays, but there is an engraving above him. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he who moves my bones. Cursed, you see. You're not allowed to dig him up. So everyone is super spooked out by the curse, and they refuse to dig him up. So archaeologists instead have done radar scans. Turns out, his head is missing. He was grave robbed in 1794. So we can't even reconstruct him that way. And they won't open it up for DNA tests. So it's likely that we will never know the truth. The government is hiding something. The point is, Shakespeare stole the theatre at one point. Okay, quick Shakespeare moment. In 1599, Shakespeare was working as a playwright with his acting troupe called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. Now, they were leasing out a theatre in Shoreditch called the Theatre. Creative name. Anyway, they had a disagreement with their landlord, Giles Allen. Giles revoked their lease. Shakespeare and the Chamberlain's Men were not very happy about that, but they had no option but to walk away. But a few days later, in the dead of night, they came back. Now the group met up just outside the theatre, and they had bribed the watchman to look the other way. Then, with daggers and tools in hand, they broke into the theatre. Now they weren't there to kill Giles, and they weren't there to steal stuff from the theatre. No. They were there to rob the theatre. They tore down the entire building, piece by piece, and they started carting it away to a warehouse. From there, they ferried it across the Thames and over to Southwark. With the materials that they stole, they constructed the Globe Theatre. And there it stood for the next 14 years until it burnt down. Whoops. It was a performance of Henry VIII, and a prop cannon was involved. Don't worry about that. But then it was rebuilt. But then in 1642 it was shut down again. But in 1997, a recreation of the Globe Theatre was made once more. And in London you can visit it today, as long as you can avoid being stabbed.
Ouch.
And now for the best section of all.
Come on, people, we're ready to shoot. Where's the pizza box with the hole in it?
Oh, never mind, that's my cue. I gotta go. Catch you soon. Don't forget NordVPN.
Lord have mercy. I really hope that he drew the little Michelangelo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I know he probably didn't, but My heart hopes that he did.
I did not expect all that Shakespeare shit at the end.
Yeah, I feel like
I think he just shoehorned it in just to be like,
didn't fit in the
there
last
you go.
one.
But you know what? I don't give a fuck. I learned a lot in this video.
Really?
Hell yes, I did. I didn't know they did X-rays to check.
I didn't know
art.
about the X-rays, which I think is kind of. I mean, it's interesting because then you get to know like what's underneath it. But like, it's not like, ooh, they did a sketch underneath. Like most people.
Dude, I paid for fucking gas and a bag of M&Ms, and they take a little fucking marker on my $20 bill. So if they're checking it like that at a gas station, and somebody's paying $400 million, of course they're going to do everything they can.
Like, I don't even
to check it.
million. Like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? $400 million?
That means an epic fuck ton of money.
Honestly,
That's what that means.
I didn't know about the carbon dating thing.
Yeah.
I kind of knew that they could like tell, like, you know, they were talking about the paints, different paints when they were made and stuff like that. But I didn't know that it was like, I guess that technical, which just seems kind of silly to say.
Yes.
Like, I just kind of assumed like they were like, why can't you just print it off? It's like obviously the textures and stuff, you know. And that one guy who painted, I can't remember who it is, but like the houses, I was like, that would be easy because like there's like really not a lot to that. But like, you know, the structures of the houses, it's not like some in-depth like face.
Right. But you've got to think that it's way more intricate than that. They know how to pick out the brush strokes and shit. It's just like people who counterfeit like autographs and shit. You know, there's like counterfeit like sports people and stuff like that. It's like Kobe Bryant autographs are a huge thing. Like people fake Kobe Bryant autographs all the time. And
like I know like money.
Yeah, of course. But I got a story about that.
You do?
Yes, one of my roommates was counterfeiting money and just disappeared one day. And so I'm sitting there like, God damn, I've got to pay rent. You know, like I'm struggling to keep this fucking apartment. And my roommate had been counterfeiting money and going to counterfeiting money and going through not gas stations, but drive-thrus, counterfeiting 20s. And buying like something off the dollar menu and getting change.
Money laundering McDonald's. Did he do okay?
He went to jail for like 3 years.
He did go to jail.
Oh, it's a federal offense. Like
well,
he went to.
I know that, but like, did he get caught?
Hell yeah! That's why he never showed back up the whole time. I just found other roommates. I was tripping because it had been like 2 weeks, and then here his ass is on the news. That's how I found out. I saw him on the fucking news. I was like, well, that explains a lot.
He ain't gonna be painting rent this month.
Yeah, we're fucked. You know?
No, I didn't know that. I have felt like fake money that people, you know, like have bought and stuff like that. And like you could totally tell. Faking painting. If that was fake and somebody bought it for what, 45 pounds back in the day? Yeah. Like not even that long ago. $400 million. I just can't. I don't even know.
Dude, you have like a reproduction of a good painting in there. Do you want me to bring it here? This is the kind of creepy shit that Nikki wants to keep in our fucking house. Like she gets mad at me because I have a Darth Maul mask over here.
This is the only thing that I own that gives me an eerie feeling. And I have thought a lot about getting rid of it. And I cannot bring myself to... Yeah. So, I don't know. There's a movie made about it, and you guys might have watched it, where... Oh, who are the actors who played in that? Christopher Waltz? Yeah, big eyes. What is her name? Amy Adams and Christopher Waltz. And that came out a few years ago and I watched it. But I had known about that. But I found that painting. I was at work. And so I used to help disabled people whenever they were at their jobs to be able to work jobs. Mm-hmm. And this one person was working at a store where things were being sold, and that was sitting in the corner.
Yes.
And I just was like, you know, looking around, and I saw the painting, and I was like, no fucking way.
Yes.
No fucking way.
This is the kind of art that I like to keep around. This is from when GTA 5 launched the GameStop. You know?
I suppose.
That's art to me, goddammit.
I remember you finding that and being like, oh, I have to have this. And I was like, dude, we have no room.
Demo Pizza Hut demo disc art.
So yeah, the movie was called Big Eyes, and you can watch that, but it's based on a true story where what happened was, and this has possibly happened before, this woman, her name was Margaret Keane, and she was the painter, but her husband really, I don't know if he envied her or just wanted to use her or both, but he pretended like he was the artist, and so he would be like, look at this amazing painting that I made, and became a very popular artist, and everybody just thought, you know, his work was amazing and everything, and he was very abusive and made her do paintings, and like she just kind of went along with it because this was like maybe the 50s, 60s, 40s,
probably a lot of reasons,
you know, and so she did, and then I don't remember the story exactly how it went, but basically they had to go to court because she finally was like, no, like, this is my paintings. And they're like, okay, at least in the film, I'm not even sure in real life. I'm pretty sure this really happened though. The judge was like, listen, just paint, because like, I don't know, you know? And so he sat there and came up with 1,000 different excuses as to why he couldn't possibly, oh, well, it's not the right, whatever. And she came up with a beautiful painting, and all of her characters had these big, blue, or not blue, big eyes. And so I was working, and I saw that, and I was like, is that an original? Like, I don't even know, you know? So I got off of work, and I went over there, and I just waited. I was like, I hope nobody buys that. Oh my God. Like, I can't just like stow it away, you know? And I bought it for like definitely less than $20. Maybe like, I think it was like less than $10. And I brought it home, and it is a reproduction. But it has always creeped me out.
But it is cool.
It is very cool, but it has given me a lot of bad vibes.
Yeah, I've always thought it's really cool. But anyway, great video by Internet Historian. I always enjoy his stuff, and I always learn something, whether it's for better or for worse. But this was pretty mild. It was pretty mild in comparison. Like, the edge was not super edge.
It was more educational.
Yeah, I mean, there was some stuff, but it wasn't horrible on the edginess.
What was that one? Well, he might have been gay or worse, foreign. And I was like, dear God. So yeah, no, there were some moments,
but it was definitely not the worst, and just really cool. Glad that he's putting out more stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Check out Internet Historian's main channel. Internet Historian Incognito Mode is the channel that we just watched this video on, and Story Mode if you're interested in some comedic breakdowns of the plots of video games and things like that. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we will see you in the next one.